Good morning, and my apologies if my let's see if I can hear myself. There we go. If the levels are a little bit low, I'm trying to keep them just low enough. Um, there's been a gas leak in front of my place. This is going on forever. They've fixed so much of it, but apparently they're back again, and there's some thudding that's going on. So that's why my volumes might be lower than usual. Why am I up? It is 7:48. This is not my time of day. We have some serious stuff to talk about, so I may as well start with a light anecdote. Why am I up this early? Well, my stubborn dog decided that she wanted to go outside at 5:30 this morning, which is an hour before her breakfast time, and I yelled at her, and then she acted like a wounded animal, and so I felt guilty. For 10 minutes, I was just like, lay down. And after feeling guilty and looking into her sad little eyes, I got up and took her to the back door to go outside and knocked over a bottle of wine from last night on the way there. And had to clean that up and then feed her. And by the time it was all done, the only thing that was in my mind was Barry's Gold Tea. So this is a plug for my favorite tea. I also like Yorkshire Gold, but I only had Yorkshire Gold in the house recently, and sometimes I just need my berries. So I had my berries. So that's the lighthearted part of our discussion today. Why am I having this discussion? See that now the dog's getting mad at the people booming outside. People on my channel may know that I'm making some changes to the channel with regards to content that I'm allowing. That is slightly a story for another day. But around all of this, there's been this conversation that's been going on about direct messages and privacy. And I cannot give any legal advice. Obviously, I am not a lawyer, but I do know how to type into a computer and do research. And you can do the research as well. But I want to talk about why. So you may get messages in this community where someone contacts you and they want to talk to you and they say, of course, this is all private. And typically, direct messages are protected as private. But to understand the to understand, well, it's best to understand why. Okay, courts would see DMs as private conversation. For example, let's say you have a friend. They contact you via DM and they say something along the lines of like, don't tell anyone this, but this thing happened to me and I'm having trouble dealing with it. And I feel shame or I feel anger or whatever, and I really need some help and I'm going to see a therapist. And I just want you to understand this in case, my behavior is different, but please don't tell anyone because this is a private thing. Of course, just on an ethical level, you do not share that information. I think we're all good with this, right? Now, other types of direct messages. Let's say you are getting abusive messages, okay? That is not the purpose. Having you to face those abusive messages on your own and not be able to do anything about it. Because people will be like, well, just block the person. Well, what if it's several people, right? What if people are creating accounts and sending you messages or whatever? The purpose of privacy is not to force people that are getting abused to continue to be abused. This is what happens, unfortunately, to so many people that get involved in abusive rings of one form or another. They get trapped into not sharing what is going on, either because they're afraid because they've been said this is private, right? Or because that someone has something on them and they've threatened them. These are all very dangerous things. So when I see this this is really kindergarten behavior where people would shame someone for sharing. Like, let's say, for example, someone's sending you messages that are slandering, absolutely slandering your friends. Do you think the law is there to protect the abuser who is slandering people? Right? Or would the law look more in favor of the person that contacts the people that are being slandered and saying, listen, this person's got a campaign of hatred and they are contacting me, slandering you about these things that I know are untrue? Or at least I think they're untrue. Can you provide information to me? Right? But my feeling on this, and from some of the stuff that I read, is that typically the courts are not there to protect abusers in these cases. Right? And so everyone freaking out about it's a kindergarten game where what you have is people that are abusive, and what they're saying to you is this is private, and if you share that, we're going to abuse you more, and then we're going to shame you, right? Or people that are spreading rumors about other people, trying to destroy their character, right? And telling you, but you can't tell anyone what I've told you. This is private. A lot of that, in my opinion, is absolute bullshit. But what I want to say is, in the Bay City Rollers community, there are what I would call very, very dangerous people. And if you get into a position where someone is DMing you and you're accepting it, right? And you get to a certain point where now you feel that you're kind of trapped into agreeing with someone, right? You fear any consequences, around that. That is a very, very dangerous situation to get into, and you don't deserve it. You do not deserve abusive messages if you disagree with someone, right? I don't care who they are. You don't deserve them. And if someone is sending you messages slandering someone, you don't have to take part in it. So I just want to... What I'm saying is, if you're getting abusive messages and you feel threatened, if you're also feeling that you can't tell anyone because it's private messages, I think you're in a dangerous position and you should think about who you can tell, right? And lawyers also in many places around the world offer a free consultation. And if they don't see any money in your case, they'll often, this has happened to me, they'll often just give you the answer. Here's what to do, right? And it's not particularly legal counsel so much, right? Because you don't have them on a retainer, but they can give you advice. And my thing is, it's not your burden. If someone else is a sociopath or someone is abusive, it's not your burden. That's their problem, right? And so I hope there aren't people that are in this position, but I know in the past people have been, okay? So I would not, for example, my feeling is that most conversations can take place in public because then the evidence can be provided, right? And I typically, on my YouTube channel, allow comments, right? And when I stop allowing comments, I will usually make a video about why certain people are not allowed to comment, right? I got rid of a bunch of people. Why? Because they're condescending and abusive and manipulative. Or assholes, right? But typically, having conversation and having arguments is part of life. You can do them. You can do it publicly. You don't have to. I'm not going to be contacting a bunch of people trying to convince them to think my way. Right? That's not, you know, my thing is I will give the evidence, and I have a public forum where only a few people are not allowed to speak, and you can believe it or not believe it. You can disagree, and then we all walk away. If you want to continue on in the ways saying, no, Blaine's wrong, I believe this person, that's your absolute right to make that decision. If there are consequences for any of us, then we all have to deal with them. And I made a big point on one of the large videos I made about particularly nasty stuff in the community. I generally said, the reason I'm making this is to give people the information because people are acting on other information. If you continue to do that, there could be problems, legal problems for you. But that's your choice, right? Not mine. And I will not reach out and contact people and try to manipulate people and threaten people, etc., 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 etc. And I also want to say, when I got into this community and the BS started on day one on my video, and it's so funny that so many of the people in the BS are still creating havoc, right? But the people that I listened to were not the people that wanted to DM me, right? There was one person in particular that wanted to DM me, wanted to be my best friend, wanted me to get involved in, here, come and join this group and do all this crap. It was an obvious scheme of trying to manipulate and get someone on some kind of political side. No, the people that I work with publicly made statements saying, would you like to do this, right? So that's one thing. And the other thing I didn't go for was, I almost fell for their BS, but I didn't go for the people that were out to put down the Bay City Rollers and to make me question the Bay City Rollers. Who knows why they are like that? But they can't be trusted, right? So my point is this. If someone can only tell you through DMs, or if someone's reaching out with DMs trying to manipulate you, you don't have to listen to them. You can mute it. You can block them, But if the abuse comes, certainly you should not feel that you can't tell anyone due to some sort of concept of privacy. If you are getting threatened, if you are getting abusive messages, if you are receiving slanderous messages against other people that you're not comfortable with, that's not your cross to bear, I guess I would say. But, if it's serious, do get actual legal advice, not from me. But I just wanted to say, the purpose of privacy, right, is not to protect abusers. This is how so many children get stuck on the internet, where they are manipulated by master manipulators. It's scary and it is horrible, but it can happen to adults as well. That's why I'm making this video. So I'm going to go and enjoy my tea. I might go back to bed. I don't know. But be safe out there, people. And be safe out there. And know that if someone is contacting you directly, there's a pretty good chance that they're trying to manipulate you. Okay, thank you very much.